मेरे वतन के लोगों ज़रा आँख में भर लो पानी, जो शहीद हुए हैं उनकी ज़रा याद करो कुर्बानी। देश में थी दिवाली, वो खेल रहे थे होली, जब हम बैठे थे घरों में वो झेल रहे थे गोली। थे धन्य वो जवान वो अपने, थी धन्य वो उनकी जवानी, तुम भूल ना जाओ उनको, इसलिए सुनो ये कहानी। Honorable Chairperson, sir, today I stand here not just on behalf of my party, the All India Trinamool Congress, but I stand for every single Jawan, for every single officer of the Central Armed Police Forces to oppose the CAPF Bill 2026 with all my might. I speak for those CAPF officers who are killed in action and denied the tag of a martyr. This government insists on calling them operational casualties. I speak for those officers who are recruited through the UPSC, just like IPS, who guard 15,000 kilometers of India's borders, serve in conditions that rival active warfare from Ladakh's frozen heights to Chhattisgarh's jungle, respond as a first line of command to every terrorist operation. They have no fixed duty time, no guaranteed family postings, no compensatory leave, and they handle the full spectrum of national security threats from Jammu and Kashmir to Manipur. Disaster relief duty, they are there. After every national calamity. Election duty, they are there. There have been 128 plus officer-level deaths. Number of Jawans has been spoken by my colleague Dharmendra Yadav. 128 plus officer-level deaths across all CAPFs in combat and operational duties in the period 1990 to 2025. 217 plus permanently disabled officers whose disability pensions now you're also taxing. It is their voice which the government has consistently refused to listen to in the past 15 years. It is their voice which is resonating through all our voices in this house today. It is these officers whose this government has refused to consult, who you have refused to consider as stakeholders. You've aggressively fought them in the courts for the past 15 years. Even after losing case after case to them, you are still not willing to do the right thing. Let us understand first the history of the CAPF in India and where the problem lies, where the root of the problem is, and why the government is bringing in this bill now on the back of a Supreme Court judgment which they lost and a failed review petition which went against the MHA in February 26 and an upcoming contempt petition next week. We know most commonly of the 5 CAPFs, but actually there are 7 CAPFs. There were 7 paramilitary forces set up in India in the 150-year period between 1835 and between 1984. And they're all covered under the Ministry of Home Affairs. The oldest is the Assam Rifles, set up in 1835 as the Kachar Levy. It's responsible for the Indo-Myanmar border and for counterinsurgency. This is the only one with a 2-tiered command. So its operational command is under the Ministry of Defense, and it is headed by a Lieutenant General rank army officer. Administrative command is by the Ministry of Home Affairs. Then this was followed by the Crown's Representative Police in 1939, later renamed as the CRPF in 1949. This is the largest force, 3.3 lakh force, and it is responsible for internal security and anti-Naxal operations, and it even contains the specialist unit Cobra. Then came the 3 forces guarding our borders. First, the Indo-Tibetan Police, ITBP, set up after the 1962 Chinese War to guard the Sino-Indian border. The Sashastra Seema Bal was set up in 1963 for the Indo-Nepal and the Indo-Bhutan border. After the Indo-Pakistan War, the BSF was set up in 1965. And today it also helps the Army and the CRPF in counter-insurgency operations. The Central Industrial Security Force, the CISF, was set up in 1969 to provide security for critical installations, to guard our nuclear sites, to guard our airports. And today it's also responsible for the duty of guarding X, Y, Z and Z plus persons who are covered in these security categories. In fact, our Home Minister has famously said that he owes his life to them. Fantastic. At last, the National Security Guards set up as a specialist commando unit in 1984. Now, the CAPF in India has about 13,000 Group A officers, leading a total strength of 9.5 lakh active personnel. This is only 25% less than the Indian Army, which is about 12.5 lakh active soldiers on the ground today. Now, these CAPF officer positions, when they come in through the UPSC, they come in as assistant commandants, and they're filled through the UPSC. Going forward is the twist. The problem is they enter. Then what happens? So assistant commandant, deputy commandant, you're filled in by UPSC recruitment. Up to senior commandant, you are promoted. The minute you come to DIG level, you have a 70-30 deputation, cadre to deputation ratio, which means 70% from the cadre, 30% from IPS deputation. When you go to senior administrative grade, which is SAG, IG rank, you have 50-50. 50% will come in from the IPS. When you get to the higher levels, which is the HAGs, and the apex, which is ADGP and DG, no CAPF officer, no matter how good he is, how hard he works, can never head his own force. It is always going to be from outside. Always a DG is going to be an IPS. How is this fair? So generalist IPS officers who are parachuted into CAPF commands as DIG, IG, ADG to occupy the very posts that CAPF cadre officers have been training for 20-30 years for. So a CRPF commandant with Cobra experience in Bastar and Chhattisgarh is watching silently as an IPS officer with no CAPF background is suddenly assuming command over him. How is this fair? You tell us. Every time the BJP pulls some unknown BJP worker out of the hat and makes them chief minister, they tell all of us, look how great the BJP is. Even the lowliest worker can get to the top post. Even our Pradhan Mantri came from very humble background. He's become the Prime Minister. The top job is available to him. Then how can this government, led by this very ruling party, deny this meritocracy to the men who are shedding and staking every drop of their blood for this country? What kind of double standards are these? Now, there was a historical reason before for this IPS deputation. When the new services were set up in 62, 63, 65, 69, what happened? There was going to be a time lag of 20 to 30 years when in-house officers rose to senior positions through career progressions. So, even then, when there was a shortage of cadre officers, they did not put down on paper there should be reservation for IPS. The IPS officer deputation was only meant to be a temporary stopgap arrangement. It was never meant to be a permanent hegemony over the forces. When you see Lalan Prasad Singh, ICS, he was Union Home Secretary. In 1970, what did Lalan Prasad Singh say? He said, finding avenues of promotion for officers of the IPS cannot be the overriding objective. The force must provide adequate avenues of promotion to its own officers. Take Khusro Rustamji. He himself was an IPS. He was the first DG of the BSF 1966 to 1970. What did he say? In due course, there would be sufficient officers to occupy the higher ranks of deputy commandants and would not like to take IPS or army officers on deputation. This is Khusro Rustamji. The Khusro Rustamji committee report was the basis on which the Coast Guard was set up. In the report, he said that the DG of the Coast Guard should be somebody from the Coast Guard. That is why today the Coast Guard is not led by an IPS officer, it is led by somebody from the Coast Guard. Now, Kanetkar, VG Kanetkar, first DG of the CRPF in 1966. What did he say? He said, I felt that the claims of such CRPF senior officers for higher ranks should not be ignored. Then we have the 7th Central Pay Commission report in 2015, mentions clearly, such Group A officers should get sufficient opportunity to man senior positions in the CAPF. The percentage of posts earmarked for deputation officers should be reviewed and service rules should be amended. Officers from the CAPF must be made eligible for manning the highest post of Director General DG. 2018, it is the BJP government. There are 2 committee reports both saying exactly the same thing. The first, there's an estimates committee report headed by Murli Manohar Joshi in March 2018. What does it say? It is surprising to note that even when these officers recruited by IPSC through open competition, and that too at officer level, the top position in CAPF are occupied by IPS officers. IPF officers, in spite of competence and efficiency, cannot have the advantage of expertise that the insider has.